putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning into the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. Of course, I'm your host, Brett Siegel, for the day. Kevin Jackson is going to be on the radio tonight in New York, Fox News Radio. It's going to be really, really awesome. He did a killer job last night on Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. He's going to be killing it tonight at 6 o'clock, taking the liberals to school. It's going to be awesome. Now, we were just answering questions. Well, I was answering questions because I took it upon myself to answer questions posed to white people by black people. And since all black people represent each other and all white people represent each other, I can, why not declare myself the spokesman of all white people? So on behalf of all white people, I answer these questions from all black people.
Like, can you appropriate my student loans? Can you take that off my hands?
No, I can't appropriate your student loans. And what the hell is that supposed to mean anyway? What, since we appropriate your culture and since we have white supremacy and since I'm supposed to have white guilt and have all this white privilege, that I'm just supposed to pay for your student loan? Okay, let's go tit for tat. Let's see who is appropriating whose culture more. You are over here worried about twerking and haircuts and lips and hips. Over here, we are building Western civilization. Could you imagine if every white person was to get upset at a minority or someone, a person of color, a black person, a Hispanic person? Could you imagine if a white person got upset every single time someone from a different culture or a different race appropriated white culture, appropriated white goods, appropriated white inventions? I mean, thankfully, I don't see these people as being white men who created things. I see them as being men who created things, men who did things, people who did things. Did they happen to be white? Yes. Did they happen to be men? Yes. Is that indicative of some grand racist scheme? Not a chance. In fact, the racism going on here is against white people. Imagine the reverse. Imagine a white person asking a black person the same thing, like these same kinds of questions. Okay, we created Western civilization. When are you going to appropriate my house chores? The least you could do is my dishes. Since you appropriated Western civilization, you drive around in that car, you use that phone. Obviously, these people of color, these brown people, were sitting in a studio using a lot of inventions created by white people. When do we talk about that? I personally don't want to talk about that. Because I think the more the merrier. The more people around the world join Western civilization, the more people around the world that get electricity and running water and AC and food on demand and cars that take you from A to B in no time, airplanes, all the cool things that were created by cisgendered white men. I want everyone to enjoy these things. And you're whining about someone enjoying a haircut and twerking, a stupid dance that's like a mating call. That's what you're worried about? Give me a break.
Why is it that white crime is seen as an isolated incident, but black crime is a representation of my entire community?
When we see a story on TV about a white serial killer, I don't automatically assume that all white people must be serial killers too.
Number one, I don't assume that all black people commit crime or that it's a referendum on the entire community. Two, statistics are not irrelevant. And this is just your way of brushing under the rug the crime in the black community. What you're talking about is racists. What I'm talking about is statistics and using statistics to arm you with reality. Now, maybe instead of getting upset at other people for acknowledging statistics, why don't you work to make things better in your community instead of blaming other people and projecting your problems onto Whitey, onto scary, scary Whitey? Most people are completely colorblind and don't even see race and don't care. Most people care about the content of your character, not the color of your skin. Believe it or not, I know you're dying to think that you're this victim, that everybody hates you and that you have it so awful in this country. But that's just not the case. And I feel sorry for these people that they live like this. It's like they're just scared and angry.
Why does talking about race make you feel so uncomfortable?
Is it because you think that you'll be perceived as racist if you talk about race?
Okay, me personally, I am not uncomfortable talking about race at all. Thanks to years and years of being called a racist, bigot, sexist, misogynist, homophobe, transphobe just because I want voters to show an ID at the booth, because I support our cops, because I support gun rights, because I support freedom and capitalism and free markets. It's for these reasons that I've been called a bigot, racist, sexist, homophobe. After a long time of trying to talk reason into leftists, I just gave up. Once you've decided that the other side is just evil to the core because of the color of their skin, once you've decided that the other side is evil, nothing that they say will satisfy you. Most people have empathy. Most people want to be sensitive to your feelings. People don't want to just hurt your feelings. And the people that are like that, I'm sure it has nothing to do with race. But no matter how sensitive I was, no matter how diplomatic I was, in the end, it was still the same. Racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. Because I believed in things in which race was completely irrelevant. Voting ID cards. Not only black people have to show ID cards, all people have to show ID cards. It's race neutral. Because I believe in these race neutral things. Capitalism is the most race neutral system of economics that has ever been created. But to these leftist SJWs, capitalism is equal to racism, sexism, bigotry, homophobia. So after years of being pinned as a bigot, racist, sexist, homophobe, talking about race is way easier. It's way easier to be honest when you know that you're never going to satisfy the other side. It's easier to be honest with yourself, too.
You don't really believe that racism is over because we have a black president, do you?
Okay. Nobody thinks that racism is over. Racism is like jealousy. It will always be here. You are in for an uphill battle if that is your goal. If you are trying to rid the world of jealousy and racism and biases and just negative feel. I'm going to rid the world of negativity, you know? Like, that's what trying to rid the world of racism is like. It's trying to rid the world of frailty. It's just never going to happen. What you mean is institutional racism. And yes, I do believe that institutional racism is gone. The only institutional racism that you see now is against Asians and white folks.
Why is it so easy for you to notice when there are no white people around, but you hardly ever notice when there are no black people around?
Are you aware of how this human being thing works? You have your body. I have my body. When I'm in a room with you, you have no idea what I'm aware of. If I'm in a room with a bunch of white people, you don't know what I'm aware of. You don't know what I'm taking note of. I do believe that some people, regardless of race, go throughout life without taking much of it in. That's sad. Me, I take a lot of it in. That's great. I think of that as a good thing. And I don't sit there and think to myself, wow, oh my God, I'm the only white guy in this room. This is... Like I said, I grew up in a place where I was a minority, okay? There were tons of black people in the room, and I didn't even notice it at all, okay? I was raised by a black woman. Go figure that. All in all, since I am all white people and I'm talking to all black people, get out of your head. Just get out of your head. You're thinking way too much into this. The white people in the room are not out to get you. They're not sitting there thinking, oh my God, there's a black person nearby. That's not what they're thinking. That's you. Those are your own neuroses. Those are your own insecurities. That is your own having been brainwashed. Don't project that onto me. Okay, well, I'm a little sick and tired of answering these questions. It's basically all the same thing. You could sum this whole video up into one big question. Why are white people so terrible? Why are all white people so terrible? I mean, just the wording of the question is totally racist. Why don't I reverse it for a moment? How about that? We'll play a little thought experiment. You tell me how this sounds. All right, black people, on behalf of all white people, I want to ask you some questions. Why are you killing each other on the street? Why are you doing drugs and joining gangs? Why are you killing your babies in record numbers? Why are you on welfare? Black women, why do you drive your men out of the home? If you're so offended by the N-word, why do you glorify artists who incessantly use the N-word? Why do you appropriate our white technology? Why do you appropriate our white inventions? God, I can't even say it without feeling weird and uncomfortable. That feels weird and why white inventions? White haircut, black haircut, black culture. It feels nasty coming off of my tongue. It feels weird because ultimately I'm an individualist. I care about the individual. I don't care what race you are in. And it's clear that BuzzFeed doesn't feel the same way. I don't know how they don't have a disgusting taste on their tongue after putting that video out.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.